Hey everyone, I'm here with Jay Gillespie from Dynamic Dies. Jay, tell us who you are, what your title is, and where you kind of fit within the organization.
Well, I'm account manager for basically the northeast portion of Ohio. I've been in the industry about 34 years now. So I started off on the basically the box side part of the business, and now I'm working as an account manager at Dynamic Dies.
So you've been in the corrugated industry for years. What's one lesson that consistently helps customers improve performance on press?
It's just how you basically design and structure how a die cut is made, so it efficiently goes through the machine with less issues and maximum performance.
So that's a good point. What are some of the most common die cutting or printing issues customers call you about, and what do you typically look at first?
A lot of time it's fractured scores and or not cutting in certain locations, and most of the time that leads back to the anvils on the machine, which basically is the polymer portion of the die cut section that the die impress is on. That a lot of times the customers really don't take or pay attention to that part of the machine, and not taking care of them and making sure they're properly grinded and or rotated can impact the overall performance when it comes to cutting dies and not print plates, but cutting dies, the scores, fracturing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So, one of the questions I have is if you can share a recent example where a quick on press adjustment solved a major headache.
Hmm. Well, a lot of it's on the lead edge. Sometimes we'll get competitor dies in there, and we'll be called in for that for whatever reason, see if we can help troubleshoot that. And then just looked at the overall structure of how it was made, and it was just the wrong lead edge. It was going through the machine wrong. It was causing them issues coming out of the machine, not ejecting off the die, jamming up in the belt sections, and that just led to an overall issue. We just flipped the die around. I mean, it's not conducive to how we make a die, but just flipping it around, it just ran a lot better after doing that.
It sounds like you've spent a lot of time figuring out sort of machine efficiency and uptime. What's sort of one big takeaway for you on that topic?
One, crew training. Over the years, I think we've seen a lot of new faces, especially in plants and on machine centers and managers and plants don't get a lot of opportunity to train people. So you get a lot of employees out there that are making adjustments to machines. Sometimes they don't know what they're really adjusting, and it can impact and or harm the product they're trying to produce. And overall, that just increases downtime and it increases waste, and then it adds to a quality issue to their customer.
So let's talk about these small changes, especially when it comes to like rubber, lead edge, or rule selection, and how that impacts run speeds and waste.
I focus majority of the time on the lead edge of a cutting die because if you can get it off the die, as long as the design's there and it's properly made, you'd be surprised how many issues you'll have if it's not coming off the die correctly. It's having the proper lead edge. It's having the proper rubber on the lead edge. And it actually goes back to just the overall design of the carton itself.
So that's a good segue in terms of like design versus machine runnability. You've advised designers on structural changes. What's one small design tweak that dramatically improves runnability?
Again, lead edge. We play hand in hand with our CAD team and how I look at things. Most of the time, everything that comes through that we quote, I'll get my eyes on it. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
usually either recommend, change the lead edge or change the orientation or even change the number of outs if possible. But also my looking at things, and then our CAD is actually going back and they'll ask questions. We can open up a slot or just a pinch point here. I think us playing the role of CAD and myself really helps the customer get a final die that performs well and gives them the results they're looking for.
So why is communication between the designer and the die maker so critical before artwork ever hits the press?
Um, I just think we know their machines probably better than they do because it's not just the only machine we deal with. We might deal with 10 machines just like that. And a lot of the designs and a lot of things we see, we've probably already dealt with at one time, or I've adjusted or I've recommended changes as well. So between us working with designers, because a lot of times designers unfortunately don't get a lot of press time and understand the full capabilities of the machines and what the cause and effects are. So I think it helps us with my background in the production side and my CAD department's team of just asking the appropriate questions. The end result is, by the time we end and make that die for them, I think they have just a well-performing die.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, that's another sort of good segue to advanced service and advanced tooling. So, DDI is known for advanced tooling. How does pairing that with expert service create that sort of different level of value for customers?
I think a lot of that has to do with this industry experience and knowledge of working on these machines. There's a couple of account managers that actually come from plants and or plant managers or just working the plants historically. So us knowing how machines work and understanding what we're trying to accomplish when we make cutting dies, and then what their final product is supposed to look like for their customer, any problems they might have had either in the past, we're able to recommend whatever it might be to help them run more efficiently, or just give them those options or choices based on historical data and things we see.
Super interesting. So, what would you say is one area where customers don't always realize the level of consulting that you and your team can provide?
I think it's the things behind the scenes. There's a lot of questions we ask or we work and talk about behind closed doors or emails or phone chats. Say, listen, this customer's had this issue with this or whatever it might be. What are the possible solutions we might see with our tech team? Say, listen, and they'll recommend changes, and I'll say, well, that might work here, might not work in this situation. So there's a lot of things they don't necessarily see that we do behind the scenes that adds value to them and how their machines and their dies perform.
That's great. So when it comes to practical tips for operators and managers, if you had one piece of advice to improve today's run, what would it be?
Take care of the tooling. The tooling's only as good as you take care of it. The die cuts, I go back to anvils. If you don't take care of your anvils or have a good anvil rotation or care system, you're going to damage your dies. On the plate side, if you're adding too much impression and too much analog, so your machines are out of parallel, that can cause issues as well. So your overall quality and your overall machine performance, we can always blame tooling, but how you take care of that tooling as well, it can impact and improve performances too.
So what's one improvement you see more customers investing in, and why does that matter?
Investing in? Well, grand scheme of things is bundle breakers. You get these machines that's running one or two off the back of them. A lot of these plants and operations are adding bundle breakers to the back of their machines, which they can utilize their cylinders and basically improve efficiencies, 150, 200%, if not more. So that's a capital, usually an investment. When I talk about just from a local, you have your machine and this is all you're going to get, basically, it's just, and I see more and more, because when you sit in a classroom setting, training and seeing people's lights bulbs turn on and seeing what you're talking to them and they apply it to what they are doing press side, I think they understand more when you're actually able to show them in a classroom setting, as opposed to just throwing them at a machine and say, well, here's a week of training and let's see if they can figure it out in that little bit of training.
Right. Very cool. So what is one more sort of nugget that you can talk about, either from your own perspective or from, kind of your team?
I really think that being in my previous roles in plant management, I have built some trust with plant managers and leadership that I understand how a lot of their machines are running. I think I understand a lot of what they're trying to accomplish. And, like I mentioned before, I try to get my eyes on every design that's coming through the door or where I see. So I think they have trust in me, knowing that I'm going to give them recommendations that they're not going to have headaches press side. They're going to get the most, best running tooling they're possibly going to get, and it's going to be set up and oriented the best way possible. So there's not, that's a value I think we add that, it's not in the cost of tooling or print plates, but it's adding total value to their operation and how their machines run.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to end. So thank you so much for your time, Jay. Yep. Really insightful. And I hope to have you come on and do another one of these soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep.